Good evening. It is Tuesday, 27th of February 2024, and it is coming up to 8:30 p.m. UK time, 9:30 p.m. in Stockholm, Sweden, which is where my very special guest tonight is based. He's someone that I've come across relatively recently, maybe like 6 to 12 months over the course of Twitch. I love his music, I love his vibe, I love the chat in his Twitch room, and it's always a good vibe. So I thought it'd be great to have him on to discuss a bit more about his musical influences, DJing, although he doesn't call himself a DJ, record collecting, and all sorts of cool stuff. So here we go, Mr. Crate Digger.
Hi, Criztoz.
How you doing? You okay?
We are good. Thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, we're all good. I think you're talking about the mic. I think you're good. You don't need to lean in. I think so. I think we're good. But people will tell us if it's too loud or too much or too little. Just tell us.
Well, that's great.
That's cool. We have got Double P. We've also got Silver Purple. Good evening. Thank you for coming in. If you have friends who are streaming at the moment and they're coming to the end of their streams or raids or whatever, then yeah, try and bring them here. Tell them there's a cool show going on and they should come and find us. But every guest I have on the show, I ask about their musical influences. I have loved music from a young age, and I want to know why other people love music and when they first got the bug. So, who was your first sort of musical influence? Was it parents, brothers, sisters, friends? What sort of age? And what music do you remember?
Well, I think the whole thing started being a lot around my father, to be honest. But I think we were leaning towards different kind of music. My father was a big fan of major French artists. He was listening a lot to Edith Piaf, Dalida, that kind of music.
Wow.
And yeah, and but he had a side. He had this disco side in him, so he was listening a lot to people like BGs and stuff like that. But I kind of never, I never did lean to that kind of music anyway. But someday, I think I was like 5 years old. Uh, we had the radio on, and that was the first time I heard James Brown on the radio.
Wow.
So James Brown released a single, I think it was 1975, called Hot. Uh, he was actually sampling David Bowie, the song Fame. Both songs released 1975, but I think
Yeah.
David Bowie released one like 2 months before James Brown. So James Brown sampled that one, and I was hooked, Christo. So I told my
Yeah.
father, I just need to get this record.
So
And
let's just pause there for a So you heard this on the radio.
yeah.
Yeah, and you decided that you loved it so much that you had to get it on a record.
Mm.
So, did you own records up to this point?
Up to that point, no.
Okay,
It
but you
was
knew
just
you
my
had to have
father.
this.
Yeah, I thought like, I mean, James Brown. Believe me, I think it was like 5 seconds into the song, and I was hooked. I was like, I need to get this record. And back in the day, I was based in Tunisia, and in Africa, it's not that kind of culture where you can collect 45s. It's very, very
Yeah.
hard. So I didn't get the record,
Okay.
but that was kind of my dream first 45 to get,
Wow.
because yeah, and yeah, so that's basically how the whole thing started. And uh, somehow 2 years after that, I think I was like 5 or maybe 6 years old. So we were moving, and my father did empty the room where all the equipment were, and he basically placed everything on the floor. He did actually own a couple of Technics 1200s. It was the first edition. I don't know what they called them. I don't remember exactly, the model of them, but it was basically the first ones that they released 1970.
Wow.
So he had a couple of them, and he made the mistake. So he basically placed everything on the floor, and I was like 5 or 6 years old. So I was hooked with the plate rotating. I was like, I need to stand on that one and see what happens.
Yeah.
So he was playing one of his favorite records to Edith Piaf, and so I happened, to walk over the whole thing, and I damaged one of the players.
Oh no.
So that was my first contact with vinyl players.
Amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing. We've got a few people to say hello to. We've got DJ Arlo saying Edith Piaf. We've got ADP. We're doing the big weekender next weekend. We've got Scotty Boy. You've got Silver Purple, Marcelina, DJ Double P, um, Benny Goggs. So yeah, welcome in. And anyone watching on Instagram as well, welcome in. You can come join us on Twitch and get involved in the chat.
So we
Um,
got family in here.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And we'll get to sort of talking about Twitch and about family and how important it is. But so from there, that's your sort of first interaction with records and a turntable. When do you then start buying your own records?
Well, I mean, before that, I mean, the I actually had a lot of influences. That was the first question, right? And
Yeah,
uh, before we get into that, if it's okay with you,
yeah, of
uh,
course.
I I uh, I was listening a lot to Donald Byrd, JB's, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, Charlie Parker, Duke Ellington, Herbie Hancock, Jill Scott Heron, Stevie Wonder, and I was doing this at a very young age, and people were actually mocking me for that because I was this 5 years old kid listening to music that people in my age doesn't listen to back in the day.
what
You know?
what did they think you should be listening to?
Well,
Nursery rhymes or something like that?
I mean, like pop music or rock music or something like that. So
Okay.
that's the kind of thing that kids were listening to back in the day. But listening to funk and soul and jazz, that was for old people, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I just needed to say that. So sorry. What was the other question?
I was getting to the point where you've just started touching the platter and you're touching records. When does it come a point when you actually manage to start buying records? You said it was difficult initially to do that.
It was, yes. And my father was so kind. So my second record I wanted to have, actually still have the record here. It was Donald Byrd's "Stepping Into Tomorrow," the album.
Wow.
I think the album was released 1974, I think, if I remember correctly. And I kind of wanted to have that record for like 3 years. So he did order that from the US. So I got actually the original copy. It's still here.
Let's have a look. Let me move you over here and solo you so people can see
It's
it.
still here.
That looks very good condition as well. For you
Yeah,
look after your records.
yeah. I treat this one like my baby. So there are actually 8 tracks in here. You know, you can never go wrong with Donald Byrd, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's this record is like a child to me. So
Yeah. And here's a quick question: is that a record that you play on Twitch?
yeah, I actually played that one. I played. I think I used it like 3 or 4 times on Twitch.
Yeah.
Not on your weight range because you are forcing me to do 45s.
Not for this one. The one that's coming up at the weekend is
Yeah,
33. Yeah,
absolutely. Why
inclusive.
not? Yeah.
And you've been invited, I think, on Get It Covered as well. I think. Are you playing on that at some point? We've discussed getting you on, I think, as a guest because that's vinyl and digital because you
Oh,
play digital as well.
yeah,
And we'll
yeah.
get to that. We'll get to that.
Mm, mm.
Okay, so that's your first record that you've bought. Where does it go from there? Do you just buy more and then build a collection?
Well, I mean, I kind of start collecting records with time. I mean, we weren't that rich, and the records by then were very expensive for our, kind of economic conditions. But I think I get my second record when I was like 13, I think, and
Okay.
uh, and it started from there. But I wasn't very good at taking care of my records by then. And many actually of my records get damaged, with moves and exposed to sun and humidity and stuff like that. This
Right.
is actually one of very few records that uh, I was basically keeping this record close to me all the time, but because the other ones doesn't matter that much. But then from the age of maybe 20, 22, something like that, so I started traveling a lot and actually playing outside of the country I was located in. And it kind of gave me the opportunity to purchase much more records.
Yeah.
So, but I am not that kind of collector that buy whatever gets out. So when I
Okay.
buy a record, I need to feel the love for that record. So I don't have many records, but all of my records are kind of really classic, timeless tracks, and artists. So
Okay. Here's a couple of questions. So you
mhm.
say you haven't got that many records. We've probably got a lot of people who buy records in the chat. How many? Obviously, you say you don't have very many 45s. How many albums or sort of 12s do you think you have?
Well, when it comes to albums, maybe around 300-400 albums.
Okay.
And then 12 inches at singles, maybe around 200, something like that, and 45s maybe around 250, something like that.
Okay. So that is, yeah, that is a good, that is a good size collection because you probably know where everything is for a start, I think. Is it very organized?
I do not.
Okay.
I I am so bad at that.
Yeah. Me too.
M- yeah, I tried actually last week or the week before that. My girlfriend was trying to help me as well, and
Yeah.
I think we managed to have a little bit more control over the albums. But the 45s, the issue with the 45s is that, on one side, you could have a jazzy track, or the other side could be like, you know,
A bit more chilled or
pop or
something.
funk or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and when I organize my records, I would like, to kind of organize them by style, by
Yeah.
gender. And yeah, so it's not easy really.
No, it's difficult trying to find because I've got a lot of 45s and I'm trying to work out how best to do it, and it's getting them into crates of a specific style or a specific mix that I've done. For example, like I now know Sven Wonder, which we'll talk about, is like there. That is there. So whenever I want to play that record, it is there in front of me.
Yeah.
So I want to get to that stage where I know roughly where key records are, so that you
Mhm.
can access them. And you've got that with that wall behind you with all the albums. So
Yeah, we got some of them here. Uh,
how do you decide what goes in there?
I think by covers, just for the
Okay.
wall, Uh, I may have much more valuable records than those are here, but yeah, it's mostly, for the look of the wall, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah,
More than that, trying to showcase what I have. It's not about that really.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just, so it looks okay. And it goes with the lights, as you see, have some uh, blue and red,
yeah,
white lights, so it kind of melt quite well. So
yeah, yeah. No, that works really well. Okay, let's go back to the story then. So you've started buying records. I think you talked about playing out as well and playing in other sort of countries.
yeah, well, as I always state, I really don't see myself as a DJ, and I think that's because I raised the bar quite high because once you listen and you see DJ Coco playing music, uh,
Yes.
you kind of feel ashamed to put that DJ suffix in front of your name, you know. So for me, that guy actually earns the right to call himself a DJ because that's what you do, and the guy is doing
Yeah.
it with physical media. It's amazing. So I am more of a music collector, and what I do, I just try to, you know, uh, spread some love by actually playing music. That's my intention of being on Twitch, to be honest. So I am not a DJ at all, and I will never be one either. But yeah, I mean, regardless. So I starting. I actually once I was playing music quite loud, and someone heard me playing music, and they invited me to be, uh, acting like a guest DJ on a club.
Yeah,
I was 14 years old.
crazy.
it, it was actually quite crazy because I was a bit too short, and they tried to, have me standing on a small chair to
Yeah,
look much longer.
yeah, yeah.
So I actually played at that club for like 3 years. And from there, actually started playing outside of the country. So I played in
Okay.
France, in Germany, in Italy, Spain, US. I've been playing at some jazz bars in
How did that come
New
about?
Jersey.
How did that come about? How did you get these gigs in all these other countries?
Well, I mean, it's actually through contacts. I mean, people I've been playing with in clubs,
Okay.
and then I got invited. So, yeah, and I don't think I ever said no to an invite. So as soon as I get the opportunity, I go.
Yep.
So yeah. Uh,
We took a shoestring saying that Arlo still has to stand on the step for his streams now. And we did, and I think we had when we did the one at Rarekind, I think we had some sort of maybe the flight cases or something
yeah,
as well. Because it's the same with my daughter DJs and indie mix. You know, you have to make sure that they can reach the decks so that they can play.
exactly. Yeah,
Otherwise, they're sort of down here.
yeah.
But
In my case, it was actually not for that reason, to be honest, Christos, because it was uh, I kind of needed to look a little bit older than I was because it was
oh, to play in
illegal.
these to play at these events, you had to look what
Exactly.
18.
Yeah, exactly.
So they'd make you stand up so you look taller. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Um,
So we've been kind of
yeah.
fooling people that way. So.
Yeah, yeah. But it must have been cool being around and playing in these venues from such a young age.
Uh, well, yeah. I mean, back then I was playing with people, kind of regular small DJs. So it wasn't like, I mean, there were no big DJs with big names, So I always felt quite comfortable around them because
Yeah.
we were almost friends in real life as well. So yeah, but I mean, it was cool, to be part of that kind of world because I mean, as a 14 years old, I never been at a nightclub uh, before my first gig. So actually, I started playing at clubs without
Wow.
having any experience of being a guest at a nightclub.
Amazing.
So yeah.
So that must be a bit crazy. So, and these sort of nightclubs, how big are they? Are they sort of got loads of lasers and lights and things like that?
Actually, yes. I started. My first gigs were in Tunisia, and the clubs there are too over dimensioned. I mean, it's always very flashy. A lot
Yeah.
of effects, lights. The sound systems are amazing, very big. It's too loud, too much bass.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, it's crazy. So, as a 14 years old, stepping in that stage, and I do really remember the first time. Um, I don't remember exactly what song I gave a spin, but it was a jazzy song, and I never listened to that song that way. I all of a sudden I could hear the bass, the percussion. I mean, every element of the song in a different way. I was like, this kind of sound system I need to get at home.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. Because yes, because you wouldn't have been at nightclubs, so you wouldn't have heard any songs at all on that sort of a system. And those big sound systems are amazing, and they really make you feel the music, and that's why people like playing out on them, isn't it?
I suppose so. Yes. Uh, Criztoz, you may not believe this. I think I've been as a guest on nightclubs. I think like 6 or 7 times my whole life.
Okay, right.
Believe it or not.
Yeah,
So I've been actually spinning records way much more than being a guest on nightclubs. So I really don't have any experience of being on a nightclub as a guest.
yeah.
It's crazy, really. I don't even remember. I think it was like 23 or 24 last time I was a guest on a club.
Okay. So, and when you're saying a guest, just at a club, or are you playing at other venues?
No, being as a regular guest, basically
Okay.
going out to have fun.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Cool.
yeah.
Um, right. So tell us a little bit about Sweden now, because you're based in Stockholm. How long have you been in Sweden?
I moved to Sweden year 2000. I actually was the person number 8 that
Yeah.
entered the Swedish border after midnight. So the I think the 15 or 21st people, we get like a small champagne glass of champagne.
Right.
So I felt really, really welcome somehow. Yeah, so I've been here since year 2000. So I've been here for like 20, yeah, 4 years now. Soon. It's a long time. Time fly by so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what is the music scene like there in terms of buying records? And obviously, you moved there in 2000.
Mhm.
Were you still buying records from 2000 until now, or did you stop buying records?
Uh, when I moved here, I start almost instantly playing at clubs. So I was playing at this club called Spybar, and other two clubs in Stockholm, quite popular clubs for years until 2011. And during that time, I was buying a lot of records. Yes, um, I mean there are much better possibilities in Sweden to buy records than in Africa. So
Yeah.
yeah, so oh, I mean it was like heaven for me. Um, but when it comes to the music scene in Sweden, my style of music, I am, what I do, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
the music I play have a specific core. I mean, I like soulful, funky, jazzy music.
Yes.
Uh, and in Sweden, that kind of music is not that popular at all.
Right. Okay.
There are really few people listening to that kind of music, and when you find this spot playing that kind of music, if you look at the people around you, there are kind of people from 60 years old and above. Otherwise, this
Right.
this
Okay.
this country is all about pop and rock and mainstream music, and I never felt kind of compatible being at clubs in Sweden. But at this club called Spybar, it was kind of a nightclub with 3 different dance floors, and
Okay.
me and another DJ called Picat, we actually had our own room. It was a small, cozy room, and we actually had the coolest people at the club. To be honest, it was mainly artists from Sweden hanging out
Yeah.
around us, so it was quite cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's a small world when it comes to soul and funk and jazz and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, but it's got to start somewhere. And you've got to find, we talk a lot about this, finding your tribe. And Scotty Boy says finding people like yourself, like he was, finding people who are into music. And that's where sort of Twitch comes in. I know we've jumped forward a little bit, but we'll talk about Twitch in a minute. But it's amazing, isn't it? These connections and what you were doing then in having your own room and playing the music you wanted to play was to try and attract people like you.
Uh, well, sometimes there's a big difference playing on Twitch and in the club, because in the club you kind of feel a bit limited, because
Yeah.
sometimes the owner comes to you say, "Oh well, okay, can we maybe try to play this kind of music tonight because we are having this specific guests." I remember us today. We have there is a very popular artist here in Sweden. I really can't stand her because
Okay.
I mean, I can't stand her and I can't stand her music. It's, popular pop music, and it was her birthday. I, I think she was turning 40 years old, and she is huge in Sweden. And so she approached me and said, and she had a CD on her hand, and she asked me if I could play track number 7. So
Right.
yeah, I tried to listen to it. I said, I'm sorry, I can't play this kind of music. uh, it's not what I do here. And I mean, just try to trust the DJ instead.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good advice.
yeah. I mean, I got fired from that place. So
Because you wouldn't play that record.
yeah, and I was like, well, I mean, fine.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I won't come here again anyway. So I mean, either I mean, you kind of need to keep your identity anyway.
Definitely.
I
Music is your identity. It's
yeah,
certainly my identity, and I try never to sell out or to play at events that I don't really want to play, or I'm not really playing the music that I appreciate. Because
absolutely.
it's yes, you might be playing for a crowd, but if you're booked as a DJ, they should
Mm,
trust the DJ that he's going to produce something an hour, 2 hour, 3 hours of
mm.
interesting music that you may have not even heard of before. Just just see what the DJ comes up with.
Yeah, yeah, but it's about big names, and it's a lot of sucking up to people
Yeah,
like that, and I just can't stand that kind of behavior. So it was for the best, actually.
yeah, too right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say hello to a few people. We've got Air Adam, Scotty Boy, I think we've said. Music Spasms, welcome in. DJ Arlo, Double P, and yeah, anyone else joining us. And again, if you're on Instagram, then come across, join the conversation. I'm here with Mr. Crate Digger, Silver Purple, said, what a bitch, lol, when she's talking about that artist. Okay, cool. Let's sort of move to the sort of record buying then. So, in terms of the shops, is there many shops in Sweden that are selling the type of music that you want to buy?
Well, actually, I there are some. Yeah, mostly small second hands. You know, vinyl stores located actually in the middle of Stockholm. So yeah, but I still order the most of my records from Discogs, from Juno, or uh, because sometimes you like to have a specific record and it's almost impossible to find here.
Yep.
So I end up order many things online. I remember once I was in Germany digging the music, and it's a totally other scene. There are a lot of instances when you can get vinyls and you actually find what you're looking for. But yeah, I mean, we have there are a couple. I think there's something called Record Mania and Nostalgia Palatset. Basically, are the two biggest ones, and they are located quite near each other. So me and my girlfriend, we kind of go there sometimes from time to time and look for records. Yeah.
Cool. How have you found, you mentioned Juno.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, that's mainly based in the UK. Has there been a big change since obviously Brexit and costs going up for importing from the UK?
You know, all of this is your fault, Christos. Believe me, it's your fault.
I didn't vote for it. It was not my fault.
Well, I mean, it's your fault that I'm buying so many 45s as I do today because,
Oh, I see. I see. My fault for that. Okay.
yeah. So I'm going to blame you for that. Just take it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
no, I mean, well, it's insanely expensive with physical records.
Yep.
You know, uh, And to be honest, that's why I rather do more digital music than um, I mean, I would love to get everything on vinyls, but
Yeah.
that is not feasible. Uh, it's so expensive, and uh, I actually never ordered vinyl records online before. I actually started doing this, I think last year, actually, to be honest.
Okay.
Otherwise, usually when I buy records, so I kind of I go to the physical store and I look for records there.
Yeah.
But then I started looking for records that I couldn't find anywhere, and so that kind of forced me to start looking online. So yeah, and I came across Juno. I think it was a recommendation from someone on Twitch. Actually, I don't remember who, to be honest. But it was someone recommended to check Juno, and they have an
Yeah.
extraordinary service. So I actually order a lot from there. But they don't. Yeah, there are a lot of stuff they don't have either. So that's why I did send a message to you asking you if you
Yeah.
have. Yeah, uh, you remember that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
If
remember.
there
I
are any
remember.
recommendations?
Um,
Well,
yeah, it's interesting because I've slowed down definitely my buying. I spent a lot of time, maybe 3 years or so, buying all the records. Then I did dry vinyl January when I didn't buy any records, and then I haven't bought that many since actually, not a huge amount, because I'm like, right, there's a lot of records here that I haven't listened to yet or haven't listened to for a long time. I need to start going through my own collection because at some point it needs to stop. It can't keep growing.
yeah. Well, yeah. Uh, I don't mind
Yeah,
my record collection growing, but I don't have the wallet for it. So,
yeah,
I mean, I have 637,000 digital tracks.
yeah,
Uh, Imagine having that on vinyls. You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
it's that. Yeah, I'll end up really poor if I do that.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you don't need to have it, because it may
No,
be a record you play only a few times. Uh,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
that's, I think, what the problem is because, because 45s are getting more expensive, people are really considering, am I going to be playing this a lot? Is it a banger that I'm going to be playing all the time?
Mm.
Or is it more of a, I'm going to play it sometimes? And I think that's changed people's buying habits, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, my last buy, I dropped this tune for like I think it was my last stream. Nick Bike did release a great rework of Princess.
Is this the Dubs one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I've got
was
that.
I,
Nicholas Bicicleta.
exactly. I mean, I love the rework,
Yeah.
the way he used that Gypsy Woman sample on it, and I like to get it, but it was like $22. I mean,
Yep.
for one track to play from there,
Yep.
is it worth it? It's not really. But this is the sick thing, is that with the music, because when you listen to something and you love it, you just gotta have it, and
Yeah.
that's why I call myself great digger.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Exactly.
uh,
Music Spasms is saying if we treat vinyl like Kodak film, we will only buy what we really want. That is, yeah, very true. Very
that's a
true.
good one.
And interestingly, I used to shoot a lot of Kodak film and get it cross processed. So before I got into 45s, I was doing photography. Then that got really expensive in terms of getting processing done. Um, and so yeah, then I moved on to 45s, which which has brought us here. Okay, let's talk about Twitch. We're obviously broadcasting on Twitch. We're also on Instagram, but you are on quite a lot, I would say. So tell us a little bit about your schedule first of all, and then we can talk about how you first found Twitch.
Uh, well, when it comes to the schedule, I've been actually reworking that one the last 2 years now. But I think me and my mods, I think we did end up in uh, a plan how we're gonna do it. So I do Wednesdays,
Yeah,
and we start around 6 p.m. European Central Time, um, and Fridays at same time. And then my favorite day of streaming is actually Sunday because I
Yeah.
start like 2 p.m. And I like Sunday streams because I've been free the day before, so I feel much more relaxed. I'm not tired from work, and I feel kind of cozy that day. So I feel like playing a little bit more laid back music,
Yep.
and that's what Sundays are for me. And I feel that we are kind of attracting an incredible crew with hopefully the same energy just that day. So some days are really my favorite streams somehow. Last Sunday, for instance, we have an amazing stream. Yeah, so Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. But as you said, I've been doing a lot of pop-ups lately. I actually kind of slowed down that a bit like 3 weeks ago. Yeah, because I've been sick, as you know. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, we were supposed to do this a few weeks ago, weren't we? Unfortunately, so we've had to postpone it, and got
exactly,
it in as soon as we could because it's good.
yeah.
But yeah, it you. Uh, I struggle with a schedule because of the different shows and different raid trains and things like that. But
Hmm.
obviously, I've been seeing how your community has been growing. Now, do you think having that schedule has been very important so people know when you're on and when to sort of join?
Well, I do really believe uh, in consistency, and that parameter I was really lacking because I mean, I have a day job as well, and
Yeah.
sometimes I don't feel for streaming because when I stand behind those decks here, I would like to feel that I want to play music.
Yes.
And I mean, life comes in between sometimes. A lot of problems in day life, which kind of prevent you from doing this sometimes. But I always try to see music as an escape from
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
uh, yeah, so
And
but I mean, I think really consistency is very important. So that's the kind of plan I'm trying to stick to now. Uh, so at least the crew out there knows that. Well, Peter will be online Wednesday at, yeah, 6 p.m. his time. So well, we know when he's online. But you know what, Christos? My best streams are actually the streams where beforehand I don't feel for streaming. I feel like,
yes.
do I really gonna do this? I don't have any strength to do that. You know, and it's kind of a pop up in a time I don't stream on, and it end up being an amazing stream.
Yeah.
It's crazy how it
It's
works.
because there's nothing, and I do that. I think we all do. We all do pop ups every now and again because at that moment we just want to play. We just want
Mm.
to play music, and we are lucky that we can switch this on and have a community. You're right. Okay, I want to do something for now. What shall I do? I'm going to go and check in on my community, and you can either do that as a viewer watching other DJs, or you can do
Mm.
it by streaming and having the chat, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Um,
How has the community affected you in terms of Twitch?
do you want the truth or do you want a political answer?
If you're happy to share the truth. We're always very very open on these shows. So if you're
Yeah.
happy to share, then of course.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, Twitch is an amazing place from different perspectives, but there are a lot of downsides as well. Uh, there are amazing people out there, and there are people that actually have been trying to harm my channel as well,
Okay.
and that's quite sad. And I am actually still a target from
Right.
specific people that we are not going to mention here,
Okay.
but it is where it is. But the thing that keeps me going is actually the crew and the atmosphere we have today in my channel, to be honest. And I actually lately, I think like a year ago, uh, I decided to distance myself from people who actually I know deep inside don't want the best for me, you know? And I started to dedicate my time and my energy to people who actually provide something good for me, and that I feel that I want to do some good for them as well.
Yeah.
You are one of them. So I
Thank you.
don't go.
But yeah.
I don't go to many channels today.
Okay.
I go to channels, where I know good people are streaming, and that I know those people want the best for me.
Yeah.
So my circle today, I mean, the I mean I really try to dedicate my time to channels that deserves my time, basically.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
I think actually, last year I've been feeling much, much, much better, and I think my channel is kind of taking a specific direction that I was looking for. I mean, even my chat. I think I have an amazing chat with amazing mods in Marcelina 45 and
Yeah.
Silva Purple.
Marcelino.
Those guys are so amazing. They are really trying to uh, make the channel look classy. The chat is clean. You know, we try to make everyone feel welcome. I mean, it's a spot where everybody should be gathering together to enjoy music. So it's just about the music. I'm not doing this for other reasons,
Yeah. Just about the
Uh,
music
yeah,
and
and I
and
am,
community and building
yeah,
these connections
exactly,
and connecting excuse me, connecting people from across the world. I mean, you're in Stockholm, I'm in Sunshine Coast here in the UK, and if it wasn't for Twitch and sort of coming across each other, we wouldn't be having these conversations. And it's
exactly.
important that we
Yeah,
have these conversations.
yeah. I mean, the great thing is that, I mean, sometimes I go check um, my streams report, and I see, we have people from all around the world. I mean, from all the 7 continents we have. It's
Yeah,
amazing, I mean, people watching from Africa, from Europe, from
yeah,
Asia, from the US. It's really amazing how music can really connect people. Yeah, so, and that's one of the factor that actually drives me to keep showing up, because to be honest, I was about to quit Twitch many times.
okay,
Yeah, and um, thanks to my mods, actually, that I really wanted to give this another chance.
yeah,
And here we are still here.
yeah,
So and I think, it's about realizing why you're doing this,
yes.
and how you do it, really.
Yeah, definitely. It has to be for you, and I think a lot of it we talk about on this show is it's music therapy for a start, because I want to play music, I want to listen to music that I want to hear. I love listening to other DJs, but I've got all these records that I want to hear. And it's being able to share those records with other people who may not have heard those records before, or just want to hang out in a safe space.
Mm.
And that's, I think, your channel is very welcoming. Lots of other channels like Platin Pats and that. If there's good people in those channels, it's not just the streamer; it's the community that makes them these amazing places, isn't it?
Exactly. I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, uh, I would not go to a channel just because they are playing good music.
Yeah.
I remember when I discovered Svolansky, for instance.
Yes.
I mean, you go to Svolansky, you feel loved
Yeah.
before the stream basically begins. And that kind of quality of people that I'm trying to be close to. Um, And yeah, so I mean, it's not just about the music really, because I mean, playing with the music, well, all of us do, uh, and then it's much more about the personality as well, you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a deadly combination, really.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because I love how every channel is very different. You know, you get the same sort of vibes, but everyone is very different. And it's amazing that when we put together these raid trains and I get people from all over the world, you know,
Mm,
they're all their channels very different setup, they're playing different music, but I know that it's just a positivity and a good vibe. And that's why I book DJs because of that primarily, I think,
mm.
and then the music as well.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a good thing, you know. Really, I really admire that in you, because every time I look at the lineup, um, I see good people there, you know. So
Yeah.
which is great, because I mean, like last Saturday, I mean, I was following the coffee and donuts raid train, but I
Yeah.
wasn't part of it. But it was so fun to be on every stream anyway, you know.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that we would like to see much more on Twitch.
Yeah. I'm working on it. Let me put it that way. Obviously, I think we brought Coffee and Donuts back because that used to be a show that was just on one channel. And for the when we started Twitch 3.5, 4 years ago, that made sense because no one was really streaming. People didn't have their own channels. But as people have had their own channels, we decided to relaunch it as a raid train because that helps everyone grow. Because, you know, if our friends are growing and if they're getting more people into their channel and new friends are growing, that helps all of us, doesn't it? Because it's all sort of shared around, and suddenly someone will say, "Go and check out Mr. Crate Digger," when
Yeah,
like someone does a shout out.
yeah, of course, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, um, I agree, because let's take, for example, you know, last Saturday. I mean, I wasn't doing much at the chat. You know, I mean, we were having some good time. We were, you know, throwing a lot of fire emotes on good music, and I mean, just being kind to each other, and people start following me. I ended up with, like, you know, 13, 14 followers without even streaming. And I
Yeah,
actually saw those people the day before, the day after that, when I was streaming on Sunday, which is an amazing thing. I mean, you know, as we said from the beginning, I mean, it's all about connecting with people, and yeah, I mean, shouting out each other. Of course, you need to mean that as well when you do that, you know. So yeah,
but
I
that's something that isn't in a lot of other parts of real life, is it? Where people are constantly saying, "I do this, so I DJ or I stream. Go and check out all these other streamers." There used to be this whole, you know, it's a competition, but Twitch isn't a competition. It's a collaboration, isn't it? Certainly in the DJ, we all work together. We all go on each other's raid trains. We all come on people's channels and have talk shows. It's an amazing collaboration, not a competition, isn't it?
uh, that's the way it should be, Christos. But
Yeah.
let's be honest to each other. A lot of DJs out there on Twitch see Twitch as a competition.
Okay.
Really, I mean, I've been experiencing that. I actually heard people, streamers, DJs, actually stating that in their live stream. I kind of leave right away, and I unfollow that person right away when I hear that. I've been actually hearing it from quite big ones on Twitch as well,
Yeah.
which is really, it's not sexy at all.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I mean, for many people it is a competition, sadly, but the good thing is that for the majority, they are doing it for the love of music, and that part we need to focus on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And Music
yeah.
Spasm saying, especially the OG DJs against the new DJs, because it has been an evolution, hasn't it? From well, let's get to that point. When did you first find Twitch, and how did you get involved?
Yeah, well, it actually began, I think it was in the like February 2020, something like that.
So about the start of the pandemic, about then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I start seeing people showing up on Facebook doing live sets. I was like, okay, this is cool. Is this allowed? Because I've been doing some reading before, and you know, due to all copyright laws and stuff like that. So it wasn't allowed. And indeed, people were having their streams cutting off. But a lot of people were anyway showing up. So actually, I did a stream on Facebook, and I think that stream lasts like 17 minutes. And then I started to understand how the algorithm works. So
Yeah.
I did see it at the competition. I was like, I'm gonna break this algorithm. I'm gonna do that. So my second set, I started mixing much faster. So basically, I do like 45 seconds on every song, and then I kind of mix a song out on the break, and with a new song. And my stream lasts for like 1 hour, 22 minutes. And then I think on my third stream, someone wrote in the chat, "Why don't you try Twitch?"
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been always associating Twitch with a gaming platform, so I never thought about it, as a platform where you can stream music. So I created an account and I started checking it out. And I was blown away because I saw a lot of DJs have been streaming for years there, especially people from Japan.
Yeah, okay, let's just pause there because I didn't I assume there must have been DJs before I had joined, but obviously I'm quite a niche 45s DJ, so I only really found out about 45s DJs. But in terms of DJs who've been on the platform for a longer time, like in Japan, how long are you talking? How long do you think they've sort of been on the platform?
I'm actually talking, I know a couple of DJs who've been streaming there since 2014.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah, a long, yeah,
That's
it's
almost as long as
amazing.
gamers. And how have they, if they, and do they still stream?
They do.
And
Some of them,
how have
absolutely.
they gone? How has their sort of channel gone in terms of 10 years?
Uh, well, I mean, those people have, like at least 100 viewers all the time, constantly. But when you look
Yeah,
at the crew there, it's mostly, people from Japan. So they are not that very international over there. So that's
yeah,
what I saw at least. But in the middle of 2021, 22, I I love Japanese music and
yeah,
Brazilian music as well. So I always try to go to those streams, just to chase music, because I mean the best way to get in touch with the music from that culture is actually by DJ playing their own music, right?
yeah,
As I do with the Brazilian music as well. So and after the pandemic, it's actually starting taking another direction. So even those DJs, they've been actually developing their streams and their crowd in a different way as well. So it's kind of really, you see people from everywhere on every kind of channel and stream today, which is an
yeah,
amazing thing. And actually, those DJs before, when I started to go to them, they were communicating in Japanese only. They actually stopped doing that now. Many of them start talking English, which
okay,
is a sign that okay, we have a crew here. We are not Japanese only.
yeah,
So yeah, we're gonna need to maybe do it in a more international way, which is good because I mean it's good for us to understand what they're saying, right?
yeah. Because obviously you speak English on your on your streams.
I
Have you
try to.
always? Yeah, no, you're very good. I was saying I
English
had.
sucks.
I said that I had Mr. Pate Mix on my show on Saturday, and he was saying his English wasn't very good, and I'm like, his French is definitely better than my English. The other way around. My French is definitely worse than his English, and the
Yeah.
same for you. But did you speak in English from the very beginning, or did you try not to speak in English to start with?
Uh,
And we've got a question, Mr. Craig Digger. Air Adams asking, "What is your first language?" If you don't mind him asking.
oh, it's Arabic,
Arabic. Okay. All right.
which I can't actually speak today.
Okay.
Because I left Tunisia quite early, and if you don't practice a language,
Yes.
you kind of forget it. So I'm having really trouble doing that. Sometimes when I talk to my mom, for instance, I really have trouble I mean, I do understand everything, but when I answer, so I answer kind of in English or Sweden,
Swedish.
or Swedish, to make
Yeah, yeah,
myself kind of.
yeah. It's the same with me because my parents speak Greek, but we're trying to teach my daughter Greek, but it's I end up always going back to English just because it's
Yeah,
probably
and I
become
mean,
my first language now. You know.
yeah, I mean the thing is that I'm a very weird mix. My father is half Tunisian and half Cuban, and my mother is
Wow,
half from France and half Italian, and we grew up in Tunisia for a while.
what an
So
amazing mix!
yeah,
Amazing.
so when people ask me where I come from, I really have trouble answering them because I don't know.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
been
that's
actually living.
truly international. Do you think that's why that translates into your music being quite international as well?
It may be. It may be. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do spin music from a lot of cultures. I mean, yeah. Japanese music, Brazilian music, French music, Spanish music. I mean, it's yeah. As you know, I mix a lot of styles.
Yeah.
There's a charm in every kind of style. Um, the only key is that it need to be funky. It need to be soulful.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we don't do it. That's the way it is.
Definitely, definitely. Okay, let's talk a little bit about cover versions because I know you're a big fan of cover versions. So
Am I?
tell me about that. Yeah, why do you like cover versions?
Uh, I don't know if it's about liking cover versions, Criztoz, but I when I try to play music, I uh, I like to tell a story. I like to provide you with some history as well. So for instance, when I play a a specific song, let's say I start playing Torika Badu, Torika, for instance. So
Yeah.
I think about, okay, who sampled Torika? Well, it's Erika Badu, right? So I mean, I try, to use samples to tell a story and provide you with history, you know.
Yep.
And beside that, so I keep doing that by providing some versions. So it's not about liking covers, but it's about telling a story and kind of informing you that okay, this artist did actually do a great cover of this song, and this artist too, and then I move on.
It
It's more like that
it's like an
than
evolution, isn't it?
yeah,
An
it is
evolution of the music. Look, this is and I yeah, yeah, I mean that all makes sense now. It's like, okay, so this is the original song and everyone knows the original song or it's a very popular original song, but look what someone has done with that song. Look what someone else has done with that song. And then it's
actually
moving through history, isn't it?
actually not Christos. I mean,
Okay.
the majority of people doesn't know who actually made the
Okay,
original
yeah.
song. Actually, that's the problem.
I give you that, yes.
Yeah, or
As
or,
Music
or
Spasm says as well. Sometimes people don't even know the original.
exactly. Thank you, Spaz.
Yeah. So it'll be the first one that they think is the original that usually sticks in people's heads, isn't it?
uh, yeah, I think it depends on um, and how deep you dig into music.
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, people who are born in the '90s, or something like that, they listen, let's say, to Erika Badu, for instance. Uh, they may think, well, this is the original. It's original sample, but that girl should been sampling a lot of artists from '60s, '70s, and '80s. And
Yes.
I mean, it depends. I mean, we who try to dig more and deeper into music because I suppose, I mean, I do have big love for the history of music, and I know, for instance, that it's very very hard to compose or produce a song that sounds so good. And I think that this sample must have been borrowed from somewhere. And believe
Yeah.
me, every time, almost 99% of of times I really find the original sample. And it's quite amazing how many artists actually, take samples, well, and they do something cool with it, right? But it's still, the original is not from there. So it's from, you know, 1940 or maybe 50th or 60s or something like that. So that's the kind of thing kind of drives me more and more to dig into music, But I mean, it's quite fun to get in touch with this old stuff that basically, yeah, I mean, the majority of regular listeners don't know about. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
so it's basically history of music, which is it's quite it's quite fun, and it's very time consuming, but it's fun.
Yes. And it's almost like I think we were talking when I had the guys who put together the Yugoslavian funk film,
Yeah,
Funk You, and they were talking about one of the characters in there saying that it's almost like when you dig and you find a record, you're almost giving it a second life because obviously you're playing it. And we play music, like you say, from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. We're not playing just music even made in the 21st century most of the time. So it is amazing to give this music a longer lifespan.
exactly. Yeah, and I mean, try to revive it again because that kind of music is well, almost day to day. I mean, dead today, And I mean, it's nothing you hear on the radio either. Uh, so, yeah, I mean, it's nice that we at least can, yeah, try to revive it again and give it a spin because it's at the end, it's timeless, amazing music. Uh,
And it's
yeah,
great that we can share it with all these people.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, and I think people actually appreciate that, especially those with, maybe a little deeper love for music. They kind of appreciate. Ah, okay, cool. Yeah, it comes from there. Okay, yeah, nice. Nice
Yeah,
to know at least. So
yeah, definitely. Right, let's talk about one more topic, and then we'll find someone to rate to. It's been an amazing hour already, but one artist that we have both got a lot of love of is Sven Wonder. So
yeah,
tell me about Sven Wonder and your sort of connection with him and his music.
uh, I came across Sven Wonder. I think it was in the middle of 2020 when he released his first album. I actually don't own his first album, but I got those two here, and then I got 345s as well.
Yeah.
Uh, the first track that kind of um, got me hooked was, I don't know if you heard that. It's Sunkissed.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the
Oh,
yellow cover of the 45
exactly.
with the sort
Yeah,
of hand, a drawing of a girl, I think, isn't it, in red? I
exactly.
think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
a beautiful record. Beautiful
It's a
record.
beautiful record, and I mean, it's a record that many people will listen to and maybe find a bit noisy, but when you listen to the production of it, it's a masterpiece. And that kind of record kind of made me to dig more into Sven Wonder, and I just fell in love with his music.
Yeah.
So I am chasing every release day today. So I mean, as soon as he released something, I just get it the same day.
Yeah. I
Amazing
miss.
producer,
Yeah.
yeah, amazing producer, and apparently an amazing DJ as well. I didn't know that.
I've seen him DJ because he came to the UK and played at a Mr. Bongo event in a Spiegel tent as part of the Great Escape, and so I caught not quite all of it, but I caught about 45 minutes of his set
Mm,
because we got there a bit late. But yeah,
mm,
it was really cool music. Some Mr.
yeah,
Bongo stuff which I recognise, and a couple of records that I've picked up since
mm,
having remembered. But yeah, some really interesting music.
yeah.
And I mean, is he a big artist in
No, he's
Sweden?
not. No, he's not. Almost nobody knows about him here. I
Wow.
mean, that kind of music, it's as we as we said from the beginning. The music scene in Sweden um, is really he doesn't fit there at all.
Yeah.
I mean, his music got influences from a lot of places around the world, and that kind of music, it doesn't go home here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, my girlfriend, for instance, she listens to a lot of music, and she never heard about him either.
Wow.
Um,
What
until
was it? Your girlfriend
I
who joined you on the stream for one
yes,
of the? It was
hmm,
my, was I think it was my birthday stream. Was it that one?
it
Was it
was,
Chris?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That was cool. But that was her picking out music and you playing, or a bit of back-to-back choices.
Well, I mean, she is not too much into my music, I would say,
Okay.
but I think actually she is actually starting liking it today. And
Right.
the cool thing is that from day to day, so she kind of uh, um, suggests some good music to me now. Like yesterday, we were listening, and she did send a couple of tracks to me through Spotify, and it was really great, classy R&B. I was like, I need to get those right away. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, it's cool, that I think she is kind of opening her eyes more for music, as I think since she met me, I suppose.
Well, that's a good inspiration, isn't it? And that's good. We have
I don't know
James
if she's
R.
in the chat or not, but if she's in the
Uh,
chat, so
I don't know,
let us
maybe.
know, Linda.
Yeah. Okay, James R. You sort of touched on this a little bit earlier when we were talking about DJ Coco. But James R is saying on your profile, you do not consider yourself a DJ. At what point will you change your personal opinion? Do you think there'll come a stage when you suddenly think, I am a DJ?
I think that day I start doing incredible things as DJ Coco does, uh, which I found quite of impossible. Because I mean, it's not about his technique in mixing or something. No, it's about his knowledge about music. You know,
Okay.
I mean, when you listen to him, DJ Coco doesn't beat map. He doesn't do that. He works with samples. He works with you know he could mix, using lyrics. I mean, he is amazing. Every time I watch him, kind of a YouTube clip or on things he posts on Instagram, i I think like, okay, how did the guy came up with this? And I mean, when I get to that level, uh, I may change the content in my bio. Yes.
Okay. Have you managed to meet him or see him play live yet?
Yeah, he was actually in Sweden last year, at the end of last year, but
Yeah.
it was in southern Sweden, and I couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So I never met him, no, but I would love to catch him live someday, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Music Spasms is shouting out DJ Rico Radio. Welcome in to the 45 day community. Yeah, DJ Coco. So we got to meet him at an event he did in Bristol with Jim Sharp and Mr. Thing. And again, I'd seen him on Instagram. I'd watched some of the I think it's the Technics Mark 7. I think there's a launch party and he does the first set for that.
Yeah.
And then there's a Scratch Bastard barbecue
Mm.
event. So this was all before Twitch. So I'd seen a few
Yeah.
bits, and then obviously got in touch with the 45s and the
Mm.
community. But having seen him so much on video, then seeing him actually doing it live was just
Mm.
insane. It was just
Yeah.
like
It's
he's just
crazy.
picking up stuff and it's so relaxed and stuff, and he's just chop,
Yeah.
and you're just like, what? How are you doing that?
That is what I call a DJ Criztoz.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not everyone's
That
like that, obviously.
yeah.
He is up there. I mean, I think there's a lot of very good DJs in different genres and different styles, and drum and bass DJs, house DJs, electronic DJs, whatever. But like you said earlier, I think it's because he's using the physical format and a
Yeah.
small physical format as well. He's not doing it with 12s; he's
Yeah.
doing it with sevens.
And that
Like,
makes it much more harder.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So obviously, you're not as big a 45 head as I am. And you're blaming me for making you buy 45s. But why do you like them as a format?
Well, I mean, if I were a DJ who moves from club to another, I would prefer to carry 45s with me,
Yeah.
because I mean it's light. Um yeah, I mean it's easy to handle, especially when you move from a location, um, um, f- um, from A to B, And
Yeah.
beside that, the what I like with 45s is that, I mean, for the majority of time, you get two great trucks,
Yeah.
So you pay money for really two classic trucks on the same media, and I kind of like that because sometimes I go and purchase an album just for one track. With
Okay.
45s, there are the probability to get two tracks, two really great ones, are is quite high. And beside that, I mean, the format, I mean, it's kind of a challenge to learn to mix it well. I mean, as you noticed, when I play
Yeah.
vinyl, I basically don't mix
Yeah.
at all. You know, so but I think I'm kind of deciding to get much better at that. So and that's why I'm kind of getting more for 45s, to uh, learn a bit of mixing them well. So I don't know. There is something with 45s. It's charming. It's charming to hold it in your hands as well.
Yeah.
You know.
They're great. They're brilliant.
I mean, it's really, yeah. It's a weird feeling, but it's a beautiful feeling to hold the record in your hands.
Yeah, and I,
Um,
and I love that it's like a piece of history. It was pressed at a certain time, produced at a certain time, and that record was released at a certain time. And a lot of the records we play are old, and especially 45s being the oldest, not quite the oldest, because obviously you had gramophone records and 78s.
mm,
But it's the one format that we're still using over a longer period of time, because I think it's like 75 years or something that it's been in existence.
yeah. But the only thing I don't like with 45 is the sound quality. It's
Okay.
not it's not the best sound quality, and I suppose there is something with pressing of them, or I don't know where it is, but because I could take the same song, uh, some songs they press on a 33, uh, and when you listen to them, you hear really the difference, especially when it comes to the bass line and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the quality of the pressing, as I see it, is not the
The main
uh,
selling point.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay,
Uh,
cool. Right, it's been amazing. If you hang on there for a minute, I'm going to just set a raid. We're going to go and see my man Barty Cuts, who does interesting stuff on Twitch with sort of call-in shows, and he's on a raid train at the moment called Phonographic Materials, organised by Overturned Big Rig. So yeah, we're going to go and see him. But thank you so much. It's been amazing. There's been a lot of interesting stories, lots of stuff I've learned. Certainly music and your history has been really interesting, and also discussing Twitch. Thank you for being honest and open about your experiences, because I think it's good for people to hear about all sides of Twitch and streaming. And let people know when you're next on. I know you're on my event at the weekend, 33 day, but when are you next on Twitch?
yeah, yeah. I mean, thank you so much for having me, Criztoz. It means a lot to me, really. When you
Very welcome.
every time you get invited to such events, you kind of feel chosen, which is an amazing thing, of course.
Yeah.
And I would like to take the opportunity to thank my mods, Silva 45 um, Silva and Marcelina. They are so amazing, and they are actually part of this channel as much as I am.
Yeah.
And I mean, to all the amazing people, I see a lot of amazing faces, some great streamers out there as well. Uh, and well, we'll be doing the Soul Bar tomorrow. So yeah, we'll be starting at 6 p.m. Uh, European Central Time. And I actually start doing like 4 or 5 hours now. All of a sudden, I don't know why, but
It's addictive.
yeah, no, I mean, I think it's actually because of the atmosphere in the chat. I feel like, well, I mean, let's face it. When we st- when we stand here behind our decks,
Yeah,
we don't see anyone in front of us, right? So basically, the dance floor is a chat, right?
yeah,
And when you see a you know lively chat, and I mean it's cooking and everybody's having fun, you just don't want to cut it
yes,
and raid out.
totally.
Yeah. So which led actually to me doing longer streams, which is amazing.
Yeah,
And yeah, and I hope we can continue with that as well, because I mean, for me as well, and that's why I told you that I'm trying to step down a bit, so not to do that many pop-ups, but just to stick to my schedule. So doing like 3 streams a week, but when we do it with quality, and we do it quite long as well. At least 4 or 5 hours.
yeah, yeah.
Try to enjoy
Yeah,
some
because
music.
that helps to people find the channel as well, doesn't it? The longer you're on and live gives people an opportunity in your community to find that you're on and sort of build, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, exactly. And then, I mean, we hope really that Twitch can work on their discovery algorithm for small streamers like we, because that algorithm, it really sucks. It doesn't work
Yeah.
for small streamers, because uh, we never end up at the top of the list
No, of course not.
of suggested channels. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, we're gonna go and see Barty Cuts, but thank you again. And I think Arlo says he's gonna try and tune in, and he's also saying you never know what could happen. A 7-hour stream.
You're right.
It's been great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to go and see Barty Cuts. And yeah, if you hang on there for a minute, Mr. Crate Digger, we'll have a chat after the show.
Mhm. Cool. Thank you, guys.